we spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show. And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. I'm your host, Jay Pitts, here with Ryan Harris.
Shuffling up some hot takes today.
Chefing it up.
For the record, I had that one ready to go.
For the record, I was not informed that this was a dress-up episode. It's not that I'm not fun, as my wife will almost certainly tell me. I would have dressed up. Ryan just decided to surprise me. So give us a little more background on the costume, Ryan.
Okay, so my wife and I have one son, and we're being Ratatouille. So he's going to be a little Ratatouille chefs, and it's easy to do.
It is easy. I will say, I'm sure it's going to be very cute, but Emily and Todd.
There's no beating that.
The Cool Runnings Jamaican bobsled team with the double stroller draped in Jamaican flags. The creativity, it was a chef's kiss, Ryan. It was a chef's kiss. That's what it was. Can you give us a chef's kiss since you're the chef for the day? All right.
How many puns are we gonna do?
A lot. Speaking of, do you tell any dad jokes ever? Or are you still too young and cool for dad jokes?
Maybe I do, and I just don't realize it. I don't know.
I think we're all guilty of that. I think dudes in general we find.
Let me tell you, me shaking my head, this hat's throwing me off a little bit.
We think things are funny that I think a lot of people don't, So I think you're right. We inherently tell dad jokes whether we mean to or not. I tell some dad jokes here and there, and the worse they are, the more I enjoy them. The more that they annoy my wife, the more I enjoy them.
Do you try to annoy your wife or your kids with them?
No, my kids think they're funny, but my kids are also still quite young. My 12-year-old, not so much.
I was going to say, there's no way he thinks they're
No,
funny.
he thinks they're terrible. He kind of it's funny though. Okay, so he's getting to the age where let's just talk parenting for a moment. This is great. Okay, so you have a little boy. He's just over 1.
Yeah, he's 15 months.
Okay, so, in my experience through 2, not this wealth of knowledge, but personal experience, I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old son. I have a 7-year-old daughter. Obviously, there are huge differences between the two, between each kid individually, but there are similarities between the boys that really track that make you think that birth order is a thing, and certain gender preferences, I think, based on how kids grow up are really a fact. So anyway, my son, my 12-year-old, is getting to the point where he's less of a mama's boy. I definitely think that's a thing. Little boys prefer their mom when they're little, they're clingy. That's where they get emotional validation. They get, a lot of comfort. They'll sleep on their mother. They'll choose to sit by their mother 100 times out of 100 over sit next to dad. And it's just that nurturing.
What age does that start to change, you think?
Well, I'm just now starting to see it with my 12-year-old as we kind of approach puberty. Now he kind of pulled back from both of us for a little while, maybe 10-ish, where he's not quite as affectionate. I feel very fortunate that didn't last long. But now it's he seems to be leaning with preferences and personality more toward me, and has disagreements with his mom on things more often. And so the dad jokes he'll even feign appreciation for sometimes, I think, just because they're coming from me, and he knows that Jen does not like them.
Yeah.
Jen thinks they're corny and terrible.
So he thinks it's funny
that it annoys her. And so he'll pile on.
Oh, that's
Colton is just there's nothing I can't say. He thinks
oh
it's
my
hilarious.
gosh, Colton, speaking of, so we just had the Remax Scramble, which we can talk about.
Sure.
But at the end, the Remax Scramble, it's the best scramble I play in all year. I think a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
But we're watching the finalists of the putting contest, and I'm out there on the back deck, and I have a cigar in my hand, and Colton goes, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, adult stuff." He goes, "What's it do?" I said, "Adult stuff."
Well, I think the best part, like right after that, you're up on the back patio at Hurstbourne, overlooking the putting practice green where we're doing the putting contest, and Matt Hoagland is down there. Matt being a former pro, he knows Danny over at Hurstbourne. Shout out to those guys at Hurstbourne. They help us put on an amazing event. But I guess I should say that the scramble's ending after carpool. My wife had to go pick up the kids while we're out on the course and bring them to the course to hang for the rest of the day. Well, anyway, we're finishing up. It's probably 5:30, and he knows Matt. He's seen Matt around, and he screams when everything is quiet. When Matt's standing down, Matt, what are you doing down there? like basically like chastising him for participating and helping run the putting contest. It just, kids are a joy, man. It's really, I got such a laugh out of that. Hoagland thought it was hilarious.
What do you call it? Like when you have beer or alcohol and they ask what it is?
I tell him it's beer. And he's like, okay. He's like, they don't get, like, maybe this is wrong. People will cringe at this. I'll send him to the fridge to get me another one. Like, I'm like, hey buddy, will you grab daddy a beer? And I just tell him like what color the can is. He'll come back with it. And I'm like, you can't have this. This is only for adults. This is bad for you unless you're an adult, which I'm not trying to go deep enough to say it also can be bad for adults. Yeah. I mean, thankfully don't really drink to excess, and certainly not around them. But like, yeah, I just don't really want to get into it. I'm just like, hey, it's bad. It's bad for kids. Like, you can't have that, but he knows that. He knows he can't have coffee. He can't. Most of the things that mom and dad enjoy, like wine, there's a special glass. Of course, he's going to ask questions,
Let's ask, when did you have your first beer?
Oh, I was very young, well before the legal drinking age. I think that's a different question. I had a first sip of beer, or a little bit of beer, like with my dad, like probably when I was very recently a teenager, but it wasn't a full beer.
Yeah.
The first time I had a beer in secret, like what I was not supposed to, it was probably 15, 16.
Yeah, I was probably 15 or 16.
Yeah, I was probably 15 or 16. And like the thing is, and for those of you out there that are like really shocked by that, I don't know if that's shocking. Ryan and I grew up in the same place, obviously, which E-Town was dry at the time, right? It's since
when you were 15 or 16, not when I was.
Liquor by the drink, and now package sales, obviously, it's just the same as anywhere else almost. There's not a lot of bars still because it's just not the culture there, but certainly restaurants and have bars inside and everything. But like, it was a sport, honestly, for high school kids to get alcohol. It was a sport. Like we had, I remember, I can tell stories. I mean, there was a fella that was, homeless, that like I had friends that would take him and pay him to buy them beer, to buy them alcohol. And you had to go outside the county. You had to go to either Nelson County or Meade County, typically, to buy beer. And so that was their thing on Friday afternoons. Like I had friends that had planning periods the last period of the day in school, and they would leave school.
I remember growing up, and if one of my parents' friends were going to Louisville for something, they would call their friends, hey, what do you want? I'm in Louisville.
Exactly.
And they bring back like
cases and cases of beer, which was so wild to think that like that was actual life.
I know.
But yeah,
I think it's probably the closest county to Nolan Lake that's wet.
Okay.
Because
Hardin is?
I think so.
Okay. I thought Grayson County was wet, but I'm not real sure.
Might be.
Regardless. Yeah, it's wild that there are places like that still in 2024. But you're right. I mean, those things were like, your parents want to go to dinner or go on a date, they would go to Louisville or Bardstown, right? Because they couldn't have a drink at dinner. Like, you couldn't have a glass of wine.
You couldn't?
Well, that happened around the time I went I was in like high school.
So it was from like
dry.
completely dry to only restaurants.
So, yeah, that's called liquor by the drink sales. So it had liquor by the drink in restaurants. And so here's a funny story. This is some E-Town stuff for you. The law was that the establishment had to have at least 70% non-alcohol sales. So no more than 30% of their sales could be alcohol when it was allowed the first time.
So you probably had to order food or appetizer.
So, well, it wasn't every order. So like if you went to O'Charlie's, you know, a little casual, you know, dining restaurant, like they had no danger. People could sit at the bar and drink all day. That's fine. But like they sold so much food that it never mattered. But there were places that cropped up, and there was actually like a night spot for a while over by the swim and fitness center when I was in college, because we would go home for Thanksgiving and be looking for things to do, you know, at home. And there was this place, I don't even remember what it was called, that would sell you popcorn with every drink. They had a popcorn machine, and it was just such a ruse, such a hack. And they got shut down.
So your table was just filled with popcorn.
So you just had all these but they would pull the tables. It was a restaurant. I think it was a pizza place actually. And they would pull all the tables up, and it made it like a nightclub.
Yeah.
At night, and people would come in and just drink, and they would sell you, you know, you'd buy a Bud Light, and it'd be like, you know,
I'll pay for the popcorn, but keep it.
I mean, that's the thing. It was like, well, they would discount the price of the beer and then add 79 cents for popcorn. And it was like the same price together that a beer would be.
Yeah.
And they would just pop popcorn.
They probably did pretty well for a little
It probably
bit.
did well for I mean, I remember going in there and like standing room.
Do you see Baxter is not getting their liquor license renewed
I did not.
on Bardstown Road?
Wow.
Yeah. They have 30 days to repeal it.
Why?
but, I guess there's been too many shootings around there.
Wow.
So no more liquor license.
Interesting.
Which actually Baxter's has pretty good food, but I don't think people would go there to eat.
942.
Yeah.
Baxter's 942.
Yep. So we always went there in college on Wednesday nights, Dollar Wells.
Okay.
But
So I remember,
never went back after college.
I remember the 75-cent Coors on Wednesdays, or is it Thursdays, at Phoenix Hill Tavern those are rough nights.
Shenanigans used to have, I think, $1 Natty Lights, but they did away with it like as soon as I turned 21.
This is
Of course, I might have.
Of course, you went there before.
Yeah.
See, and you named the establishment. So he didn't drink there, Eddie. Like it wasn't.
No.
He didn't take advantage of your sales. Anyway, did we ever think that we'd have this discussion on the podcast, Hannah? What do you think? Underage drinking and
When did you have your first beer?
first old bar specials, like anyway. Hilarious. Oh, the times they do change.
All right, so we'll get into the show.
I was gonna say, let's talk some real estate, man.
Yeah, let's do it. I have a few real estate topics on here, and then we're going to do a Mount Rushmore of candy.
Candy
For Halloween.
like Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You're not putting me on the spot. I got a few minutes to think about.
got a few minutes, and you have the upper hand in this one because I'm allergic to whey. So I can't have chocolate candy, and I'm allergic to peanut butter. So,
How did I not know that?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I have dark chocolate. I eat chocolate from time to time, but like growing up, I was more sensitive to it. So
And it's kind of become more of an allergy.
no, it was more. It's become less of an allergy to
Okay.
me now.
Gotcha.
Can moderate it a little bit, but so I dabble here and there. but
Okay.
not too much. So mine's pretty much going to be all sweets, but.
All sweet.
So you have the upper hand when we get to it.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and jump in. This is a heavy broke agent media podcast. I have 3 different articles from
Okay.
them. I thought they were all very
They do
relevant
a pretty good job.
and good. And
I've had recent conversations with my buddy Tom Toole, who's a
Nice.
part of that organization.
one of the articles or blogs he wrote.
Really?
So,
Nice.
We'll go over that one. But this first one is 3 things agents need to stop doing right now. And I found this very timely. I feel like we've talked about it a little bit, and
Okay.
I think agents need to stop doing it too.
Okay.
So number 1, stop stressing over the buy side commission. This person said, I've yet to ask a listing agent, are you offering a buyer side commission? Because it doesn't matter. As Byron Lazine said on BAM Media, we're putting everything into the offer and negotiating from there. I completely agree with that. The Go on to say, this has been my perspective since the changes took effect in August, and it is exactly what has got me paid on every deal. I explain this to all my buyers, showing them that I can build a commission into the deal so they won't need extra cash up front. I know what I bring to the table, and I've set my own standards for how I negotiate to get my clients the win. For me, commission is a tool, a powerful one, and I approach each deal with the confidence to negotiate, creativity to close.
I don't have much to add to that, other than I would say this is exactly what our most experienced and successful agents have found. In fact, some of our most credible and qualified and successful agents have actually seen increases in their average commissions since the NAR settlement implementation, because they're negotiating their fee up front with their client. They are, regardless of any notice of offered compensation, they are requesting the fee that has been negotiated in the contract. And it is possibly because we have somewhat of a plateaued market at this point. But what we have now is more normal than what we have experienced in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So if we're heading towards normalcy, this market or these policies, these practices lend themselves very well to normal markets. They may put an agent at a disadvantage slightly in getting their desired commission rates in the hottest of markets. I could see it being more of a challenge then. But what we've seen is how maybe the hottest of markets don't necessarily contribute to the most healthy economy, and therefore a return to normalcy is overdue. So yes, negotiate your fee up front, be creative in your negotiation, be willing to accept reasonable compensation, even if it's less than what you've previously negotiated, to help your client have success. And you're going to build a lasting business based on goodwill, and you'll be fairly compensated. In fact, you'll receive a premium compared to agents that are not of the same quality than you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 2 on this list, stop leading with commission conversations. This person said, I recently won over a $4 million relocation buyer, one who was also interviewing a top producing agent in my market. Full disclosure, that top producing agent blows me out of the water when it comes to ranking online. So how did I come out on top? When talking to prospects, the top producer led every conversation with the buyer representation agreement. Not only did it make this relocating family feel transactional, but it also made them feel unwelcomed and uninformed. What did I do differently? I started working for them before the contract was signed. I sent them information on neighborhoods, local schools, and family-friendly activities. I also asked them questions about their needs, timelines, and what they really wanted from a real estate agent.
Okay.
Which I think there's a little bit to unpack there, because, we've been talking about, when does the representation start? Yeah. Is it when you start sending them homes?
Well, the objective, like, watermark or benchmark that has been created by the settlement is the showing.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand and have understood for some time that representation can begin prior to. That benchmark's been dictated to us. So our representation agreement must be signed prior to that. But I agree with this agent. So it goes to the Gary Vaynerchuk, concept of jab, 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 right hook, right? Like you give, receive before you can receive, right? The right hook is the knockout punch in boxing, right? The jab sets it up. If you want someone to work with you, you have to give before you can receive. You have to prove that you're willing to give before you ask to receive. So, all of this you have to take with like some thoughtfulness, right? Because, and some situational awareness, because some people prefer to get down to the nitty gritty right up front, and they'll take the conversation there, and you have to be prepared to do it that way. And some people just like want to know that you care about them before they talk about, financial matters. So in this example, you know, this relocating family felt the upfront conversation to be too direct, to be too transactional. They wanted to know that the person that they were going to work with cared about them before they talked about finances. So, you know, maybe a more type A personality with less stress, you know, thrust upon them would want to talk about compensation right up front. I mean, that's the beauty of this business, and is that the entire public is your potential client. So you need to be able to interact with a wide array of personalities and preferences. Clearly, this top producing agent that missed on the opportunity to represent a $4 million relocation buyer didn't see that. They felt like their way was the way to do it, and they were rigid in their presentation, so they lost out.
Yep.
My guess is the kind of crazy thing about that is they're probably not even all that worried that they missed out.
No, I was going to say.
You know what I mean? Top agents tend to want to do it their way.
Yeah.
And they tend to also understand that there's enough clients out there for everyone.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. We'll not villainize them either.
No, absolutely not. Do whatever way works best for you. I mean,
And the client is going to vote with their feet.
absolutely. Number 3 on this list, which I don't know if these are ranked in order for what agents should stop doing, but to me, this one needs to be number 1, if it is, and that is stop posting about commissions on social media. They say we do not look like the market expert when we rant about industry changes or focus on what we need from our clients. This kind of content often feels self-serving, and frankly, our clients don't care.
Okay, so would this, in your mind, include like numerical success, like $1 Million Month Club?
No. I think it's people complaining about the changes.
Okay, so you think it's complaining about changes and how they'll make us make less money?
Yes.
Supposedly. I can buy that. Or I could also buy, I'm the posting like your successes without specificity. Like I'm the $1 million platinum agent. Like, what does that mean? You made $1 million?
Yeah.
I think it's quite clear that $1 million, you didn't make $1 million in a month. We did the $1 Million Month Club. You famously came up with that idea for us. So
Do I get some kind of like royalty on that?
I don't get anything from being the first team around. So I give you credit. That was your royalty right there. Was the credit on the podcast. Is it not, Anna? Royalty. Let's see. If I ever make any money off the idea, then I'll absolutely
Okay.
send that your way.
Deal.
I
I accept.
accept. So yeah, no, I mean, I think it's clear that you didn't make $1 million in a month, that you sold $1 million in a month. Now that obviously kind of purports a certain amount of earnings, but what I believe your clients like to see that you're successful. They like to work with successful people. They like to root for successful, as long as you're humble, right? As long as you're not an a-hole, right? And it's not all you do. I mean, I think they appreciate it.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw my post a few weeks ago, but, and I've talked about it on here, I don't take closing day photos anymore. I just find it strange and awkward. Like, Hey, you just bought a $500,000 house. Will you take a picture with me? But I made a post with some of my numbers from the year, and I put in there, I'm not taking closing day photos anymore, and I explained why.
Yeah.
But I said, hey, it doesn't mean I haven't been selling.
Yeah.
Here's what I've been doing. And honestly, it's like on Facebook, probably my most interactive posts with in a long, long time.
That's cool.
Of people that understood, like, hey, this makes sense. We know you're doing well. Past clients, like, it did well for me.
Well, what you do and how you do changes as your level of success, changes. It was something that I never did closing day photos. I never did pending or closed posts. Like social media was around, maybe wasn't quite as big. But when I first started and was doing a ton of production and breaking in, but like there was certainly that opportunity. And I just always felt a little odd about it.
Yeah, and nothing against agents that do it. If it works for you, great, do it. I just found it awkward and strange when I did it. And I don't like taking photos anyways.
Yeah.
I'm much more comfortable doing a video. Photo, I don't know. I just didn't like it.
I like to celebrate you guys. That's and I guess what you realize is when you become a leader, there's as much to be said about me. I think understanding that in my social presence, there's as much that people take about me from me celebrating someone else's success as the person being celebrated.
Yep.
The assumption by the viewer is that, oh, Jay is telling this person great job. That elevates me just the same as it elevates them. If I'm in a position where I can say, hey, Ryan had a killer month, they're going to say, wow, Jay's in a position, to shout out Ryan. That must mean he's pretty good too.
Yeah.
And so that was the way I always felt most comfortable. I never felt comfortable shouting out my own successes. But always felt very comfortable shouting out those of others.
Yeah, for sure. And let me say this too: if you're a new agent, you absolutely need to do it.
You need to do it.
Whether it feels awkward.
It's because
or not,
people don't know. They're doubting. They're wondering. They know a million realtors are out there. They wonder where the market is, right? I mean, the cost of everything they buy is more expensive. They wonder is the market healthy? Is it not? Okay, I hear it. It seems okay, but I'm not really sure. I haven't heard anything from Ryan since he got in the real estate business. Is he really doing okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you're a new agent, putting it out there as much as possible.
Post every showing, anything you're doing, post it. Can you take me seriously like this?
I can.
Okay, that's good.
You gonna give me something serious?
No. All right. Here's another broke agent media article. It's just an eye-catching one I saw. It says there's 30 renters for every home for sale right now. It's the supply crunch for first-time buyers.
30 renters?
For every home for sale. So for every home that's for sale, there's 30 renters.
I'm confused as to what they're driving at here.
So
There's substantially more demand for rentals than there is for
no, because
sales.
Last week we ran through the numbers of the percentage of renters that want to buy a home, and it's like north of 80%. It's just showing that when they do want to buy a home, the demand or the supply is just not there.
It really is.
And we've been talking about that.
Okay,
everybody knows it.
So the pool of prospective buyers that are renting is 30-1 available inventory.
Correct.
I keep seeing like people, applauding increases in inventory as like I had a comment the other day on our market update post that we put out every week. And I'm like, guys, like what you don't understand, the homes that are on the market less than 45 days is the same as it was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like the homes under 45 days are selling at the same clip. It's the homes above 45 days that are really increasing the market. Those are just, fishing posts, or fishing listings looking for a price that's probably not going to be achieved.
Absolutely. So what's interesting about this, that 30 renters per home for sale in the U.S. is up from less than 10 renters per home for sale in 2006. So about 18 years, it's gone from about 10 renters per home to 30 renters per home. Says the reason for that goes back to the Great Recession, which significantly undermined new construction, slowing the pace of inventory growth and leading to a severe shortage, which we're still experiencing.
It's the same argument I've been making, which is that we underbuilt family formations while ever since 2007, we've underbuilt family formations. So X number of families created each year. We didn't build that number of homes, so there's a deficit. Also, homes are exiting useful life, so the deficit's getting larger year after year.
Yep. Just getting worse, too.
Getting worse.
All right, let's move on to Tom Toole's post from Broke Agent Media. How to meet buyer and seller expectations in 2025. So he goes on to say, I'm a big believer in data-driven strategies, and when Zillow publishes new insights, I pay close attention. After all, they're one of the most reputable data sources in the industry, blah, blah, blah. So today I'm sharing 3 powerful takeaways from the report that you can implement in your business to drive more sales. Number 1, what home sellers want in a real estate agent. Let's start off with what home sellers want in an agent. They report a long list of things home sellers look for in their agent, including positive reputation, online reviews, being part of a team. But the number one priority was actually a tie. 80% of home sellers look for an agent or broker who is responsive and trustworthy. So that's the number one thing that home buyers are looking for in an agent or sellers.
Fair. Yeah. Trustworthiness, I think, represents the fact that agent use or uptake is at its highest levels on record. Simultaneously, when the consumer has access to the most information about buying or selling ever.
Yeah.
So trustworthiness says that the concern of the consumer is making a bad choice or being, tricked or, led into making a bad choice. And they need someone trustworthy to usher them through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to get into all the ways he says to implement it. It's a little long. But if you want to find the article, just go to Broke Agent Media. But what I did find interesting in this section was he says for every listing appointment he goes on, 100% of the time he sends out a video email with a link to their resume, reviews, and their YouTube channel.
I like it. I mean, Tom's a very effective agent. I mean, they're consistently right up there with us in the top 20 of RE/MAX teams nationwide. He's certainly out of the he's out of the Philadelphia suburbs. They tend to it's on volume. I think they lag us in units, but they usually beat us in volume. So Tom is honestly probably top 10 right now when we're probably like 13 or 14 if last I checked for the year. Yeah, it makes total sense. What he says. I certainly think that he's worthy of a follow or a read on that particular article.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, so it says more than half of home buyers, 58%, say they want help on guiding and crafting the right offer.
Agreed.
Close behind, 46% of buyers want an agent who can help them find a home that fits their needs, which I found very interesting because I think a lot of agents now think their clients will find the home they want to see and look for with Zillow and all that. Mm-hmm. But it's your job and clearly should be a priority in sending them homes every day if there are homes. And if there's not, saying, hey, I checked this morning,
There's
checked
nothing,
tonight.
Nothing new.
There's nothing new. Just want to let you know I'm looking. But you need to be sending listings to your clients.
A lot of times, it's your job to understand what your client needs to see in order to make the decision that they need to make. So not everybody, that's a cryptic way of saying that not everybody knows exactly what they want, or not everybody accepts exactly what they can get within their budget. And so when there is when there is an acceptable alternative that they are unaware of, it's your job to suggest it. Right? To help them understand, hey, I know you said you want XYZ in this neighborhood with this many bedrooms, but actually there's this area right around the corner that you may not be aware of that is slightly similar or is quite similar, but houses are slightly less expensive and we can get you home for 98% of what you said you wanted. You just got to look over here instead.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that comes in, is helping people get out of their own way.
For sure. And then one statistic I saw on this that I found very interesting, and I would not have guessed this. So it says home buyers, 49% ended up hiring the first agent they contacted. On the seller's side, 59% chose the first agent they interviewed. So it's interesting to me that sellers at a higher percentage hired the first agent they talked to versus home buyers.
I think I have a theory on that. Okay. Now, I will say that it is something that the industry should know, and people like me, I think, do know, and we use it to inform, our training of newer to the industry agents. The majority of clients don't want to meet with more than one agent. The first agent they have a meaningful interaction with is who they end up working with. On the seller side, I think it's a bit of like analysis paralysis. Like they go through the process of meeting with one particular agent,
Yep.
and the prospect of meeting with 2 or 3 more to interview seems daunting. And so they have a way of rationalizing working with that particular agent, and convincing themselves that that person is the person for the job. And the reality over the last 3 or 4 years is that a listing is usually nearly a sale,
Yeah.
as long as you don't overprice it drastically. We're entering a time where now where home sellers should certainly be slightly more discerning, because I don't know that we're there really anymore. You have to bring some marketing chops. You have to price impeccably well. You have to prepare your property for sale. There's just no two ways about it. It's not going to happen without good representation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So that is those are the 3 Broke Agent Media articles. Thank you, Broke Agent Media, for.
I got an article I wanted to
Okay.
bring to the table. If you,
Let's do it.
I wonder if you saw this. So, a Housing Wire article hit the other day. New objection to NAR settlement targets business practice changes, plaintiffs, and attorney fees. In a 132-page claim, I don't know how to pronounce this name, Tanya Monestier, Monestier, claims the settlement is the, quote, worst of all possible worlds. And so basically this person, let me find her title. I think she's an economics professor or something to that effect. But there are several quotes throughout here that I don't find a ton of issue with, frankly. Quote, this settlement is sorely lacking outside neutral analysis. I wish there were more voices closely scrutinizing whether the settlement provides the value it claims to aggrieved class members, et cetera, and so forth. As far as I know, those voices were nowhere to be heard. In her objection, she claims the settlement is the worst of all possible worlds, and the implementation has been a, quote, disaster. She reportedly sold her home in August of 22, so didn't, experience it personally, but like essentially claims ambiguity around the practices, and NAR communications and the settlement itself have allowed kind of the industry to run amok with a lot of confusing practices that don't exactly serve the consumer or achieve the result that the settlement had hoped. It's kind of crazy to see this, but this was filed in court, and I don't know really. I want to say maybe in Maine. Anyway, it was filed in court somewhere, and it's going to be adjudicated. I'm curious, but I mean, it's a lot of things that we have been saying about the chaos created. I personally am not. I mean, I think we are on our way to having a very positive outcome as a result of the settlement. I think removing the commission from the MLS is still egregious. I think if offered, it should be there.
Yeah.
And I think sellers should have that right. But representation agreements are fine. I have no issue never going back in that respect. We have found it such a pleasure, to discuss our value with our clients up front and to have a reason to formalize our relationship early on. Many real estate coaches and trainers have begged agents to do this for years and years and years. And the industry was just resistant en masse to do it. Of course, you run into agents here and there that had been adopting the practice already. But yeah, it's just refreshing, man. It really is to know right then and there when you bring it up, after adding value, like we discussed earlier, that this person is, they have to show you their hand. They have to show you their cards. Like, are they serious or are they not? And I think we're well on our way to making this a net benefit. But again, there is some chaos out there. There's a lot of bad agents out there, and there's no telling how they're doing business.
Yeah, not at all. Anything else you want to?
No, that was good. I just thought it was an interesting article.
I did see the article.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. 132-page objection. That's wild.
It's a lot of typing.
That's a lot of typing. I'm out.
A lot of lawyer fees.
I'm out. Yep.
All right. Should we get to
Our draft.
Well, yeah, let's talk one more thing, though. So World Series is going on.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Finished up last night.
I had money on the Yankees last night to cover 1.5. Looked great. And then my buddy texts in a group chat saying they're going to win by 1 million. It's like,
Faded you.
well, I said, why did you say that? So I cashed out and ended up a decent amount. And
Dude.
thank goodness I did.
I mean, I'm a huge baseball
I
fan.
watched that inning happen. Aaron Judge misses a fly ball.
Garrett
They
Cole-
don't cover first base.
Garrett Cole was electric. He had a no-hitter going into that inning. Best stuff I've seen on that stage. I'm sitting here wondering in my head, how many no-hitters have been thrown in the World Series? He was cruising. Judge misses a fly ball. Okay. Error. What was the second error? It wasn't the – yeah, it was this. Okay. So walk on a questionable 3-2 count, right? So he had a perfect game. Walk on a questionable 3-2 count.
Did it hit the strike zone?
You know, that little box on the screen doesn't tell the whole tale. It supposedly marks where the ball crosses the plate, but I mean, I don't think, as a baseball purist, what I'll tell you is that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
I think it could have been a strike and it may not have been. It was very close. It was a questionable call. That's all I'm saying. I'm not mad at the umpire for making the call. Like, those guys are good. They are so good. So it's questionable ball 4. So ends a perfect game on a walk. Then Judge drops a fly ball, and they don't get the force out at second because Kike Hernandez is freaking fast. So the very next play, ground ball to short, bad throw to third, trying to get the force. The only play he had. Not even mad at him there. And then Garrett Cole strikes out 2 guys in a row with the bases loaded. Absolutely electric stuff. And then, you know, what's his name? Right fielder Mookie Betts, weak ground ball to first, and nobody cut. You can't even be mad at the defense for the pitch for Garrett because he forgets to cover first, and it would have been the end of the inning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who was coming up?
I mean, Rizzo should have.
Rizzo could have made that play. He could have. It's not guaranteed, though. Like, what you teach is the first baseman, okay.
You always cover first.
Pitcher always covers first. Always. Even if the first baseman has the play, first baseman has to call him off on his way to the bag if he's not going to flip it. Like, Rizzo clearly thought he was going to be covering, and the ball had some weird spin on it. You know, like, I mean, I don't need to go back to, like, you know, the through the wickets balls at first base that have happened in the World Series. Like, we're you know, huge, you know, game changers. Like, Rizzo caught the ball. Right, ball head. It was a cue ball off the end of the bat. He secured the ball. That's what he's supposed to do. Yes, he could have made probably the play if he'd have fielded it a certain way moving forward. But Cole was in fault, in my opinion. So that's with 2 outs, and now, of course, Freddie Freeman is on deck. Yeah. Of course he is. Which, you know, the most unanimous World Series MVP in history. You know, 2 out, 2-run single up the middle, like, just I knew the Dodgers were winning the game when that happened.
Yep.
Even though, yeah, whatever. Pretty wild, man.
And I literally cashed out right before.
Pretty wild. You
Freddie
see Freddie Freeman
Freeman
on deck, you're like, all right, I'm out. In my head, I'm like, bro, he needs.
You know what it reminded me of? We were
1-0
talking about it the other day. When your brother Zach played for Louisville and they made it the College World Series for the first time, and they played Rice. And the air at second base.
Was it second or short?
It might have been. It was short. It was short.
Had a double play ball. 1 out. 1 out. Double play ball. Man on first.
And then it all just went to crap after that.
Fell apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I was so.
Also reminded me of Louisville in the Super Regionals when the Grand Slam got hit to win the game. So
I just couldn't.
A lot of Louisville misery is what it reminded me of.
I think we're gonna have a good basketball season. I'm
I
not gonna.
think so too.
Anyway, but no, I found myself, despite cheering for the Yankees, because I want to see a 7-game series.
Yeah.
right? I want to see a 7-game series. I'm cheering for the Yankees. I was proud that Judge got a good start to the game offensively. But in that moment, I was like, Freeman's got to go deep for the grand slam right here. If he hits a grand slam to tie this game with 2 outs, 2 out, 2-run single up the middle is pretty
good too.
Pretty clutch.
All
right. So, yeah, sorry the World Series is over, but the best team won.
So where I was going with that, though, if you could choose one professional sports team to have in Louisville, knowing they would make the playoffs pretty consistently.
Like make Louisville their home?
Yes.
Ooh.
Well, not like, let's say it's an expansion team or not. Doesn't matter. I'm just saying what sport
stealing a team from another city.
You could. I'm just saying what
sport would I have in Louisville?
Yes. Knowing they make the playoffs fairly consistently.
It would absolutely be Major League Baseball.
I would say so too. And like that, I'm not even the biggest fan of baseball over other sports. I just think playoff baseball is one of the greatest things that exists.
Okay, so love college football, love college basketball, pretty fond of NFL football, okay NBA basketball. To me, what really tips the scale is the weather and it being outside and there being so many games. Like there's something really great to me, and other people may disagree. For the same reason college football Saturdays are awesome, like the big event and tailgate, and there's only so many of them, so it's like it brings a lot of like excitement. Major League Baseball just being a random Tuesday and there's a game going on, like that's cool to me. Like it doesn't have to be a big event.
Right.
It's like there may be 20,000 people in stands, not 45. Doesn't matter.
And that's what also makes playoff baseball great is because it does become a huge event.
It does become a huge event later. And like what I've really liked about what Major League Baseball has done with the City Connect uniforms, like they've really made Friday night their thing in the summer, which is like if you ever drive up to Cincinnati and go to a Reds game on a Friday night, like it's electric.
I bet.
Like it's electric in June.
I think the MLB has a long way to go with how they try to grow the game because they're not very good at it.
Well, the pitch clock was a really good change. As a purist, I didn't like it in the beginning, but games getting over in 2 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes.
They don't do it in the playoffs, though.
They don't do it in the playoffs,
which is good.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't need it in the playoffs. You need it in the dog days of July, where you don't want to sit in 100-degree heat for 4 hours and watch a baseball game.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But like Friday nights are electric, dude. I love it. I love that they wear a fun uniform, different uniform. I love that Cincinnati has always been my team. So like, they've got an exciting young team. Like they're not the best in baseball, but they've got an exciting young team.
Do they have a new manager? They're going to. Didn't they get rid of their manager?
Yeah, I think they let their manager go.
All right. Well, cool. There's that. Now let's get to our Mount Rushmore candy. So we both picked 4. I
went first last time, so I'll go first this time.
Yeah.
All right. This is too easy, but I'm gonna refrain from being.
And I'm picking also on this like what I like to eat. So
You're picking what you want.
You don't have to.
Well, I'm not gonna say
because I clearly won the McDonald's one.
You did not.
Your vote on your Instagram story was like 90% to 10.
No, I didn't. Did you put out a vote on me? I didn't even put out a vote. This is garbage.
Anyway, I mean, it was on your Instagram story.
You picked lame, easy picks.
Okay.
You picked two that would not make the board.
What'd the vote say?
McDouble and the steak, egg, and cheese those were outliers, big time. And you had Big Mac and QPC.
What did the vote say?
Obvious picks.
What'd the vote say?
The most obvious.
What'd the vote say?
I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm not worried about the vote. People like to see me lose in my own polls anyway. They need to take me down a notch. And let's just be fair. You've never won one of these, so it was about time.
I mean, 90% to 10 is like pretty staggering.
All right. Enough. The first pick in the draft has got to be Reese's Cups. And I know you're allergic to peanut butter, so you're not going to say. See, I could try to pick like the best sweet.
You don't know. Do
what
what you
there,
want.
Knowing you're not going to pick Reese's Cups.
You need a little help in this one.
Reese's Cups is the GOAT, so I'm taking them off the board at 1.
Okay. All right. You're gonna laugh at mine. I'm going with Laffy Taffies and then Skittles.
Laffy Taffies and Skittles. I don't mind some Skittles. Do you put them in your Zima?
What?
Are you too young to know what Zima is?
Yes.
Okay. Zima is a clear malt beverage that people used to put Jolly Ranchers in. Is Jolly Ranchers going to be your next pick?
No.
Okay. They put Jolly Ranchers in. It's like alcoholic Sprite. Is basically what it is.
Awesome.
Since that's the theme for this one. All right, so I get 2 picks now,
Yep.
and we're going 4.
No, I think you get 1 because we did 1 and 1 after.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go. You tell me. I'm gonna say my pick first, and I think there is some question as to what it fully entails. So I'm gonna let you be the judge.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say peanut M&Ms is number 2. Does that mean I get all M&Ms? Could I just say M&Ms and I get all M&Ms?
Sure.
But specifically, if I'm limited to one, for me, it would be peanut M&Ms.
We'll give you all M&Ms.
All right, M&Ms. Specifically peanut M&Ms, though.
Right,
On my little graphic, I want it to be the little fun-size yellow package. Cool?
all right. My next one, Sour Patch Kids.
My kids eat those. I hate them. All right, Sour Patch Kids. You'll probably get some Gen Z vote on that one.
Yeah, because
Very
they're not
Gen
even
Z.
they probably wouldn't even be in my Mount Rushmore, but I'm picking it for the vote.
Oh, you're pandering.
Yes.
You're pandering for the vote. Okay. All right. It's assuming we do have votes, since apparently you guys are crazy. All right, number 3. I'm gonna go. You're not gonna have a single candy bar?
No.
Because you don't do candy bars. That's wicked.
I probably shouldn't have told you this in the beginning
It's
because
wicked. It's not going to change. I would pick the same stuff. I wouldn't pick Skittles. Skittles would not be in my top 4. I do like Skittles, but they wouldn't be in my top 4. And the other 2, I wouldn't even probably dream of picking. So you're going to just have very different preferences than me. All right, I'm going to go with, and I'm going to take this as Halloween candy. That's where my head is right now. So I'm thinking of the things I steal from my kids the most. I'm gonna go with Kit Kats. I'm gonna go with a Kit Kat.
all right. I've always wanted to try all these,
And you've never had one of them.
Just can't.
Bummer.
I wanted to try those Snickers, like all that stuff. I'd love to try it, but
Sorry, Ryan.
yeah, they're working on
Gluten-free or whatever.
supposedly they're close to solving peanut allergy or curing peanut allergy. I don't even know what it would, if it's solving, curing, but it's like I think it's gonna be some shot you take and you're good apparently.
Good. Wow.
Which would
Can
be
you imagine?
sick.
Can you imagine a person that would like go into anaphylaxis otherwise, like the first time they eat peanuts after that shot?
Oh yeah, lawsuit.
Yeah, wild. Like sitting there wondering, like, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? Oh wait, it didn't.
You know what's interesting though? So like Chick-fil-A, I can eat stuff in peanut oil because peanut oil is like 99.99%. I think it's like one of those things they can't say 100%, but free of that allergy.
Oh, was it?
Peanut allergy.
Interesting.
So like I can eat everything in peanut oil.
Okay. So like if somebody's eating like peanuts in here, like can you go to like
No.
Texas Roadhouse?
No. Yeah. I went to go to Texas Roadhouse all the time growing up.
You just can't eat it.
No.
You just can't eat peanuts.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Like,
So the dust, it's mild. Then. I know people that can't walk in there.
I do too.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. My last pick, Twizzlers.
Twizzlers. I like some Twizzlers. I'll give you some props on that one. I'm not gonna. I don't remember the last time I ate one.
Movie theater. I'm getting a large Diet Coke, popcorn, Twizzlers.
Okay. No gobstoppers or that's honestly that I don't even know what a gobstopper is. I just know they sell them at the movie theater.
Yeah. No.
All right. Last pick. You said it a minute ago. It's tried and true. I'm gonna go Snickers. Snickers. So Reese's Cups,
M&M's, Kit Kats,
M&M's,
Snickers.
Kit Kats, and Snickers.
And I got Laffy Taffy, Skittles, Sour Patch Kids, and Twizzlers.
you have like solid form sugar, and I have all the chocolate.
You know, it
and
was
peanuts.
close to going on mine though.
What's that?
And like, I feel like it's kind of like the Filet-O-Fish of candy, because some people absolutely love them or hate them. Junior Mints.
Junior Mints. I've had Junior Mints. They're okay.
I love some Junior Mints.
I'm like,
but it's also because it's like the only chocolate candy I could have growing up.
yeah. Well, like to me, anything Reese's is like I almost said Reese's Pieces. Reese's Pieces are great, but they're too similar to like M&M's in my opinion. But I love. I feel like that about Reese's Pieces. It's like you never see them, but then you're like when you do, you're like, oh, those are good. But you haven't had them because they're peanut butter. I get it.
No, it's also another good one. Halloween candy, like the Charms Blow Pop. Like you know what I'm talking about with the bubble gum in the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't do like Tootsie Rolls?
No. I've
Tootsie
had them.
Rolls? Have you accidentally?
No. Just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And then, like,
That's pretty wild.
yeah, like if I eat it, it's not like a bad reaction. It's just my throat gets scratchy and I just start feeling a little bad, and it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
So
It's not worth it. I have fortunate not to have any food allergies. My kids, as far as I'm aware, don't have any food allergies. We haven't discovered any. So I know some people, really some kids that go to school with our kids. It's like you can't, like you have, that's one thing that you're not prepared for, having kids over to like stay the night at your house that have food allergies, and you're like, "Whoa," like you can't be sending somebody else's kid into like anaphylactic
Right.
shock. It's like I made scrambled eggs. I made scrambled eggs, and we put milk in our scrambled eggs, and the kid had a dairy allergy, and I was like, I caught it right before I served it to him.
this has been a long podcast, so I'll end with this. I had a babysitter one time. Told him I'm allergic to peanuts, which I think she knew that, but she was like, oh, this is peanut butter, and gave me peanut butter. I mean, are you
Come
kidding me?
on. Needless
And I
to say,
threw
this
up
person-
everywhere.
This person never got called back.
Yeah, I don't even remember which babysitter it was, but I remember it happening.
This person never got called back.
So,
All
that's
right,
it.
well,
We've
good
been
show.
going about 57 minutes. So.
It's all good. Good show. I think you're right. I think that's about all the time we got for you guys today. Hopefully you got some good real estate knowledge, got some knowledge of Ryan and I's upbringing, and
underage drinking,
and all the cool 19 late 90s bar spots, or in Ryan's case 2015 bar spots in Louisville. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. You check in with us every week. We'll be back next week with some more real estate. Please follow us on all the socials at JPritz Realtor, at RyanHarris.re. Give us a like, share, follow, review, whatever you feel is great to support the show. Anywhere you podcast, but specifically on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And again, that's all the time we got for you this week. We'll be back soon for the J Pitts Show. I'm your host, Jay Pitts, with Ryan Harris. We'll see you soon.
Peace.